Lesson 8.5, the distributive property. So here's how to use the distributive property backwards. This is number 19 on page 498. So when you look at each of these, you have to decide what do they have in common. First you want to look see, do they all have a number in common? You have 4, 2, and negative 10. That looks like should be they have two in common. Then look at each variable. Do they have a in common? They do, and they don't all have a squared. They all have a. So that's going to be a. And then last one, look at b. What do they all have in common? B squared, b, b squared. So it looks like b. So now you have to divide each part, each term, by what you are doing, 2ab. So I'm going to put 2ab out here, and then inside the parentheses I will end up with 2ab, because this times this will equal that. 2 times 2 is 4, a times a is a squared, b times b is b squared. Okay, the next one, pencil. So 2 and 2, okay, that stays the same. I have an a left, and the b is gone. And again, 2 times the 1 is 2. A times a gives you a squared. B times 1 is b. And finally, oh, that's probably going to be a minus. Yeah, let's make that a big minus. I think I need a 5. And the a are matching, and I'm going to have a b. So one more time. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. A times 1 is a. B times b, b squared. So that's the basic way to get you into thinking of the factoring. Alright, now, the real deal here, this is number 21. And I think this maybe is the one I did yesterday. fg minus 5g plus 4f minus 20. Whenever you start one of these, you always want to look and see, do the pairs I have matched up, do they actually have something in common? And it should work out well. They should not lead you down a blind path on this. So, let's see. Let's use red. So for the first one, fg minus 5g, I think they have g in common. Bring the g outside. I'm going to have the f still there, minus 5. Alright? And if you did the distributive property now, g times f, fg, g times negative 5, negative 5g. On the other one, I think they have 4 in common, so I have 4 f minus 5. And what you should get is, you should get things that look like this. So then you can say, you can factor the g and the 4 out and get g plus 4 times f minus 5. There you go. So here's another one with some rather big numbers. I have 45 and 27 and 50 and 30. I think they're grouped well because I know 9 goes into 45 and 27, 10 goes into 50 and 30. So I'm going to leave them like they are and see what happens. So I'm going to take 9q out of this because they both have 9 and they both have a q. So now that'll be 5p. And then this will be 3. Now, let's leave that for now and see what happens over on the other side. Over here, I think they both have 10 in common. So now I'm going to take out a 10, and I'm going to have negative 5p and plus 3. Okay, so what you should notice here is that inside the parentheses do not match. And they need to match. This is easily resolved, usually, because all I have to do is change the sign of something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the sign of the 10 to make it negative 10. Because now, if I factor that out, it changes the signs inside. And now it matches. So I should have 9q minus 10 times 5p minus 3. if you ever have ones where the parentheses after you factor do not match, then you just have to change the sign of one of them. It would have worked the other way too if I would have changed the sign of this. I would have had negative 9q plus 10 minus 5p plus 3, and it all should work out exactly the same. And if you want, you can try it and see what happens. Sometimes you will get a problem where it looks like you could move things around. You know, like 5 and 10 work together very well. But then that leaves you with these two. These two do not work together very well. So for this lesson anyway, I think, they have it split so that these two go together and these two go together. However, you do want to pay attention to that sometime, that they will mix things around so that you can see, and you might have to just put things together that work together better. So let me try this one. I think up here I can factor out 5b, which will give me r minus 5. And over here, if I factor out the 2, I will get r minus 5. Beautiful. 5b plus 2, r minus 5. And that should be the answer to number 31. r minus 5, 5b plus 2. Yep, there we go. Now also be aware of problems like this. I mean, it blends in with the rest of them in 21 to 38. But this one only has 3 terms, which means you can't do that nice little split down the middle anywhere. This one must have something, everything in common somewhere. So let's see. If I look at the numbers, 27 and 18 and 3, I think the biggest thing there is going to be 3. They all have a C, and they all have a D. That looks like what they all have in common. So let's see. Now, 3 times 9 is 27. The C and the C. So, and D squared becomes D. All right. Negative 6. And 1 of each, C, D. And then looks like plus 1. Let me check and see if that's the right answer for number 35. 3CD, 9D minus 6CD plus 1. Right. Just remember, so it's 3 times 6 is 18. C times C is C squared. D times D is D squared. And this one, this whole thing, times 1 is that. There you go. Now we have one more kind to look at. 40, 42, and 44 talk about solving. Solve each equation, check your solutions, because sometimes you'll get a solution to one of these that is not correct. So to solve these, first of all, you need to make sure, like on number 44, you need to make sure that you get everything to one side and solve it from there. And I'll show you 43, because 43 is a lot like 44. But let's start with this one, 39. You have to solve it 2 ways, because to get this to equal 0, you know that either 3b has to equal 0 or 9b minus 27 equals 0. So if you solve both of those, you'll get 2 solutions. If I divide each side here by 3, I will get b equals 0. Because if I divide this by 3 and this by 3, b equals 0. There's one of your solutions. On the other side, you should get 9b equals 27 by adding it to both sides. Divide each side by 9, I should get b equals 3. Those are your 2 solutions. You should put them back into the original part at the beginning to see if it works. And if I look, they do. Okay? Now, I want to look at, we'll look at number 41 also to see how each kind works. All right, again, 8z plus 4 equals 0. 5z plus 10 equals 0. 8z equals negative 4. 5z equals negative 10. Divide by 8, divide by 8, divide by 5, divide by 5. No reason you have to do these all at the same time. I just did it that way because why not? Looks like I have an answer of z equals negative 1/2. and z equals -2. Yep. Right now, the interesting one. Well, first thing I would do on this one, this is 43, and it's very similar to 44, is I would get everything on one side. Add 3b to both sides, and I get that. Now, go back to the beginning part of the lesson, and I can factor things out. Because I believe b squared and 3b have b in common. Factor the b out, and I get b times b is b squared, b times 3 is 3b, and that equals 0. Now I think I can see that b is going to equal 0 and b is going to equal -3 because I put both parts equal to 0 and solve. Subtract 3 from both sides. There you go. That's 43. .46 and 48 and 50 all deal with an equation like this. It's all about height and things that are traveling. Basically, it involves factoring it and then figuring out, when is the height going to be 0 and things like that. So it's a lot like 40, 42, and 44. That you have to factor it first and then set the height to 0. Generally, so like if I look at this stuff, I see that they have t in common. I can factor out the t, and I know it's going to be at least 263 minus 16t. That's the factored form for number 46 anyway. And then I know that one of the answers will be t is 0, and then the other one you have to move the -16t and divide, and there you go. That's what they're all like. So see what you can do. If you do have questions on anything specific that comes up on the assignment, you're going to have to email me or come and find me in the library today. That won't work on Friday, but it will today. So there you go. Have fun and be nice.